Greetings, fellow adventurers. I'm Max with Peak D&D.
And I'm Ben. Welcome to the Peak.
We're here in the Rocky Mountains helping you elevate your game in 5th edition's Dungeons & Dragons and life.
Now in this episode of Peaked Interest, we're talking about priorities and decision making.
This video builds off some of our other ones, so if you hear us throwing around a term that you're not familiar with, check out the links up there and down there.
Now, let's roll some initiative and get to it.
How do you know what to do first when there's so many things you need to do in
Are we still rolling, or? Yes. Oh, all right. Why, hello there. It's me, Asmodeus, Lord of the Ninth, Prince of all Devilkind, and other titles redacted. And thanks to a special arrangement with Peak D&D, I won't tell you which of them sold their souls for it, but I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I'm here to tell you about how I decompress after a long day of pulling the souls of mortals from their gasping husks. When I find I need to decompress, I do it with Coco. COCO'S HOLLOW, that is, my favorite cosplayer and streamer on Twitch. There's nothing quite like settling in with a nice bowl of raw cabbage and kale. What, you were expecting delicious food in hell? And watching Coco go and command her minions to do her dark bidding. It's her sinister wit and diabolical charms that touched me. Who do you think sent her those wings? Join her every Thursday through Sunday, 8 to midnight. It's a devilish good time. So commands the mighty Asmodeus. I know I'll be watching.
We gotta lock the doors or something.
Okay, how do you know what to do first when there's so much you need to do?
As we've done a couple of times in the past, we're going to ask our gameplay of Into the Fae, a module by the DM Layer's Luke Hart, specifically episodes 15 and 16, to help us out.
If you'd like to watch them in their entirety, which I fully recommend, do that there.
Or check out the description below. Links are down there as well.
Episodes 15 and 16, a huge dungeon crawl where we're on the trail of LL.
Cool J, I
who's
believe.
Abducted my honey gut cohorts and seemed to be in league with some weird, evil plant elf sex cult.
Weird, evil, sexy plant elves that you wanted to befriend, I believe.
I will own that. I did. Until I realized they were kidnapping people, stuffing them in giant sacks of worms so they could eat their brains and turn them into mindless zombies.
Yeah, bit of a downer. I wish they were just zombies. Zombies don't have 1,000,000 hit points.
Things have damn near 40 hit points a pop.
These things are the worst.
And definitely don't explode when you re-kill them like the Azerati do.
You haven't been in the rest of the dungeon yet.
So we're trudging through this cavern, we find some angry wasps.
Not the bees! Gord, those bees are pouring out of the hive and they look like they have hostile intent.
Managed to get the jump on some plant elves.
I think I just pissed him off. He startles awake. Gord, get him! Clank, 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 thunk.
Then we get to the waterfall.
You see a waterfall plummeting into the ravine and a narrow ledge around the northern tip of the ravine that leads to a landing and tunnel on the other side.
Now, we needed to cross this chasm to continue exploring, and there was a long, narrow path along slippery rocks that we chose to traverse.
And as we were about halfway across, this.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Now what's wrong?
Probably those two giant wasps that just flew out of the cave.
Oh, no!
Oh, what?
So, not only are we on slippery rocks that force us to make dexterity saves, or else fall to our doom, but Great Dane-sized wasps pop out of the cliffside.
And as I've evidently got a bad habit of doing, I ran ahead thinking to get away and help my friends, only to split the party and spring the second trap.
I will use my bonus action, cunning action, to disengage. And then I will move around the ledge to not provoke attacks of opportunity.
No, 16 is enough. You manage to move along at your normal speed and get to where you need to be.
Okay.
So that moss. Shit.
Oh, come on!
It just figures just burst out of the moss. They look like blank like stairs and like twisted limbs, and their mouths are filled with thick earthworms.
Now, myself and Gord are suddenly trapped on this ledge fighting wasps, and you're on the other side being surrounded.
Yeah, I can honestly say being surrounded by Maseratis wasn't what I thought was gonna happen.
This effectively put 2/3 of our party in bad spots. Tony is being forced to make dex saves,
Come on, baby.
and you're surrounded.
Bad spots are our super technical term for when you add up the local data and the personal data and realize you're about to get
For Gord, the local data was slick rocks forcing deadly dex saves, and the personal data of him being exceptionally bad at dex saves.
Wait, no! I might use my inspiration.
For me, the local data was being surrounded, and the personal was not having a ton of hit points or a great armor class, and being at disadvantage to shoot the wasps.
Now throw on top of this already not great situation the fact that I failed my dex save and began plummeting to my presumed death, and that officially puts all of us in bad spots.
Sure does. And yours was the most pressing.
Yeah, had Tony not used his turn to save me, you might not have old Jastian to kick around no more.
Player death is no fun, especially in the middle of a session, because it means that person has to stop playing and just watch.
And from a tactical approach, it thoroughly reduces the party's capacity and potency.
Capacity, in that no Jastian means all the bad guys now only have 2 targets to focus on, Illinsworth and Gord.
Potency, in that each player has the ability to take an action and a bonus action on each turn, so losing a player means losing 2 of those actions.
Without Jastian here, our total party life and total party actions are chopped by 1/3, and that almost always makes things worse.
Realizing this was the case, Tony sacrificed one of his turns and used his actions and inspiration to save Jastian, and therefore the entire party.
16 is enough to grab onto Jastian.
Once the most immediate and grave bad spot was rectified, we were able to move on to the next one, getting these guys off the ledge of doom.
Now you helped by killing that remaining wasp, which then allowed Tony and I to use our actions to extricate ourselves from our perilous perch.
Then it was on to the last bad spot, mine.
You managed to get to that square, and you have room to swing your hammer now.
Oh, not very good at tiptoeing now.
Illinsworth.
I noticed. Country, it's good to see you.
This was also our first encounter with the Duazarati, so we had no idea they were radicalized, moldy, mind-controlled suicide bombers with 50+ hit points.
Things are damn near 40 hit points a pop.
No, I figured they'd be like the plant elves themselves, maybe a little beefier, not exploding toxic tanks.
And how were you doing hit points wise at this point?
Not great, but you could tell by the way I walk, I was being my best BG and staying alive.
Wasps be gone, I was able to retreat to the other side of the cave to do what Jastian does best.
Pew pew!
Eldritch Blast.
Eldritch Blast. Eldritch Blast.
And Tony made his way over to you to do what Gord does best.
Hail be praised!
Yeah! 22!
Damn, that's pretty good.
Roll a 19 and a 16.
Gord's had it with your shit.
Which then allowed me to do what I do best.
Stabbity stabs.
We all found ourselves in bad spots, the local data combined with our individual personal data in a way that exploited our weaknesses.
Now, our best chance at success was sacrificing a few of our actions in order to retreat and put ourselves in good spots.
Retreat gets a bad rap. The truth is, sometimes the best way to move forward is to take a couple steps back.
We used actions to move and secure more advantageous positions, ones that allowed us to play to our strengths and not be victims to our weaknesses.
You move to be able to shoot without disadvantage.
Tony moved to soak up damage, do damage, and give you the opportunity for a sneak attack.
This was the first instance where prioritizing and playing to our strengths led us to victory!
And the second was in the boss fight with the big bad
Leroy Brown.
LL.
Cool J.
Right. Before cutting to the clip of that encounter, I feel a little background info is in order.
After escaping the catastrophic cascade complete with wretched wasps, we learned some new data which then gave us new now objective and new tactics.
Yes. Between the little girl we found,
Who you left your sick cat dragon to babysit.
This is Gorman. And
Oh.
he'll stay with you. I've got
Gorman's yarfing up some field mice at the moment anyway.
And LL's journal.
Which you adamantly and rightly insisted we read.
Always read the journals. We discovered how the Duazerati were made, how they were controlled, and that some of them could probably be saved.
None of which we knew, all of which came into play during the boss fight.
Oh, and like always, we failed to take any sort of rest at all.
Yeah, we really are the worst at that.
Or the best. Okay, back to the tape.
crap. Yes, I do have.
Use your Pokeballs.
Alrighty.
Goddamn right!
So after the moss people come shambling out of the walls, a lady with great big dragonfly wings
Fuck, we're terrible with resting.
gently wafts down from the ceiling. Yeah.
Here we see how local data can change in an instant. One round, we're outnumbered 2-1 by enemies with less hit points than we have.
6 seconds and 1 owl later, we're outnumbered 4-1, and all the newcomers are as strong, if not stronger, than us.
And what do we do when we don't know what to do, Ben?
Well, Max, we whip out our scroll of the 4 Fs.
Exactly. When something happens, reinforcements arrive, or someone casts a spell that changes the situation, freezing is a good tactic.
Now, you of course took this to a bit of an extreme in this situation.
Not my finest rounds of gameplay. I spent a little bit longer than I could have hiding and not using my actions as I waited for things to develop.
How?
I mean, it's not like revealing yourself would have done you, us, or the situation any favors at that point.
Whereas I literally froze and didn't use my in-game actions, you metaphorically froze and took the best out-of-game action you could, reading your sheet.
Rereading your character sheet is a real-life free action that you can take anytime, and it's the first thing I do when I don't know what to do on my turn.
Yeah, you really do, don't you?
I mean, I think it's the Boy Scout in me. I like to look over what I've got in the inventory and see if there's something I can do or use to help turn those tables.
So for you, it goes assess the local data, freeze, review the personal data, and then figure out what you can do to tip the odds in your party's favor.
It's almost like an algebra equation. Situation plus action equals outcome. Usually the outcome I'm looking for is something like, how do I get the enemies to focus on not us?
Okay, and you solve for that outcome by looking at the situation you're in and then browsing over your sheet to see if there's something you can use to get the outcome you want.
Yeah. I mean, for the dogs back in the sewers way back when in our first adventure, it was the beef jerky in the backpack. Here, it was the rusty Pokeballs.
I like it. And you also chose to use your actions to mitigate attacking with disadvantage.
Yeah, I used my spear, which I didn't even know I had. Up till then, it was just sort of a decoration on the mini. And I also chose the disengage action.
Disadvantage is no joke. You're almost always better off taking an action to get rid of it or one that doesn't have it.
I paid attention to my weakness and addressed it in order to get back to using my strengths. Pew pew!
Same as me. I stayed hidden, I used my last spell slot to protect myself, and waited for the eye-catching distraction that is Gord to get in there before I jumped in.
Well, that was a striking for the heart, Gord. I like your style.
I still killed her in one round.
Now, Illensworth is not meant to be the center of attention. Rogues do not the spotlight like.
No. The brighter the light, the harder it is to hide and stab people. And sneak attack is the bread and butter of rogues. You should find a way to use it every round if you can.
It's funny, I'm really good at saving stuff, and you and Tony are really good at saving spells. I blew mine in, I think, the first room of this mega dungeon.
I am a bit spell stingy. And Tony, I know, as a paladin, likes to have at least one slot saved to Divine Smite the boss.
He also knows his role. In combat, if he doesn't charge in and become the center of melee attention, we tend to not last very long.
No, we don't. Tony also did a great job of remembering his personal data. We'd been taking tons of poison damage, which dwarves are resistant to.
He also excels at cutting the snake off at the head. In a room full of targets he could have chosen from, he opted for the one most in charge.
I still killed her in one round.
This is usually a really solid strategy. I mean, the chances of the boss surrendering because you killed their minions? Slight.
The chance of the minions surrendering because you killed the boss? Much more so.
It was effectively the same strategy we used with the plant elves who were driving the Maseratis.
We learned this from the journal. The do-Azerati are mindless, and they need a plant elf, an Azerati, to tell them what to do Azerati.
By eliminating all the minded enemies first, it rendered the mindless ones relatively useless.
Focusing our fire on the leaders was the one decision that we could make that then took 10 other decisions off of our plate.
Plus, usually the leaders hit the hardest and are the most dangerous. Whittling away at minions has cost me many a fight.
So here is the key to prioritizing. Play around your weaknesses so you can then play in your strengths.
Especially when you're in a bad spot, like we were at the waterfall.
And don't be afraid to retreat. Use your actions to disengage and step back if you need to get yourself out of a bad spot.
Preserve potency and capacity. Don't hesitate to invest an action or a turn to save one of your friends. The net result is almost always positive.
When local data changes or isn't what you expect, remember the 4 F's and freeze.
Look at this guy. Be like this guy. Assess the situation. Take a moment to read over your character sheet, your spells, your inventory, your gear.
See if there's something that you have on you or you can do to produce that outcome that you're looking for.
If you're in a cloud kill like we were on the waterfall, then fight or flight may very well be your best option.
But if you're in a fog cloud, like when Mama said knock you out in that boss fight, then charging ahead or running away might not be the best option.
Patience is a virtue, they say. Don't be afraid to choose it and allow situations to develop. Each round of combat will bring new local data.
Find every opportunity that you can to play to your strengths as a player and as a member of your party and team.
Use the information you encounter. Try the new tactics and strategies you learn. Use your actions and turns to turn bad spots to good spots.
And it's only because we had learned about the do-Azerati that they exploded in poison clouds, had a ton of hit points, and were mindless that we made it through that last fight at all. Always read the journal.
We knew to target the plant elves and to make sure it was Tony who was in their midst because he had the best chance to survive.
And because we did, we lived to fight an adventure and not rest another day.
Hey, thanks for sticking around with us today.
Hopefully, we piqued your interests.
And gave you something to think about to help you elevate your game.
Let us know in the comments below about a time your party flipped a bad spot into a good spot and saved the day. Or didn't.
If there's a topic you'd like us to talk about, cast sending.
There's an email link in the description down in the blue.
For more Peak D&D content, roll to hit that subscribe button. Each one of you that does brings our channel closer to leveling up.
And thank you for every experience point we've gotten thus far. We appreciate every subscription we get. And make sure to drop the warnings around the notification bell so you don't get skipped and miss your turn.
Check back here every Wednesday and Saturday for more Dungeons & Dragons content.
Support the channel by casting Bigby's thumbs up and liking this video. That works too. But until then, keep on climbing, adventurers.
And we'll catch you next time, up here at the Peak.
It sound right, boy.
You ready?
You ready?
Just testing.
Just
testing.
I ain't falling for that shit.
All right.
See through that.
Too much. Now it's too much. Back up. Left. To the right. To the left. To the right. Yep. There it is.
Now slide, baby. Slide.
Now cha-cha again. Cha-cha again.
Cha-cha now, y'all.
Cha-cha now, y'all. 1 hop this time. 2 hops this time. Charlie Brown. It's your boys. Piqued interest.
Sorry, I was like writing this.
Waiting for it to appear. What?
Where'd it go?
The 4 F's right here.
You
Post. Ben, fix this. Talking about how I whip it out and I'm disappointed.